Hey there, Boxe friends, it's Oliver, and today's video is about how Savate were used to defend yourself in the streets. You may know Savate as a combat sport, kind of like kickboxing. Kicking, boxing with gloves in the ring. But there is also a part of the sport called Savate Défense. It teaches modern people how to defend themselves with Savate techniques. Boxing, kicking, but also throws, locks, groundwork and weapons. Modern Savate has changed a lot since the days of the early 20th century, but Savate Défense has not really a lineage to the street fighting and self-defense method of the old saboteurs. It was created in the 1990s. Let me tell you about the movement called Défense de la rue, defense in the street. You may know Savate has its origin in the gang world of Paris, but somehow Michel Puceau. It found its way into the salle for the average man. And when in 1877 Joseph Charlemagne wrote a big book about the new Boxe Française, it was in the mainstream. Boxe Française was the given name for the combination of English boxing and French kicking. And it became also a sporting culture. Charlemagne himself wrote that Boxe Française will be very beneficial for your health and fitness and could be used for self-defense as well. His postures are highly optimized for movement and they are really beautiful to watch. But someday boxers and fencing masters like Jean Renaud, Emil Andre or George Dubois were connected as a movement to bring Savate back on the street, as a street fighting art for self-defense. Therefore, they had to modify it and make it accessible to the average person without highly trained bodies, strong and flexible, training since they were kids in the salle de boxe. Because of that, they kicked out high kicks and kicks with turnarounds to make it more practical for the average man on the street. The open postures were getting tighter, feet more together with the recommendation to not start in a fighting stance at all, to come closer to a real life situation. Big movements for fist strokes got smaller. Preparation movements were cancelled. So they kind of recreated the old stuff from the Apache to face them in the big growing cities in France. Also, Charlemagne featured some lutte parisienne, which is wrestling, to round up his boxing curriculum. But Renaud and the others put also in some Jiu Jitsu, which was very famous in those days. This features next to locks and some groundwork, also dirty tricks like eye gouging and knees to the groin. They used the cane as a weapon to defend against other sticks and clubs, but also against knife and of course unarmed opponents. But they also teach the knife and the revolver. You may have heard from the Bartitsu Academy in London at that time. There were also teachers for wrestling, savate, cane fighting and jiu-jitsu. And the founder of the academy was egocentric enough to name the hybrid style right after himself. His name, Edward William Barton Wright, combined with jiu-jitsu, were combined to Bartitsu. But the French just called it by its purpose of use. Renaud published a book called Défense de la rue, Defense in the Street. Dubois' book named Comment se défendre, How to Defend Yourself, and Andre, L'art de se défendre de la rue, the art of self-defense in the streets. I apologized for trying out to speak French. If you are not a high kicker, as I am, those Savate methods are for you and me, and they are still legit Savate. You don't have to be a top athlete starting in your youth to do Savate. I started Savate Genovese under Maestro Claudio Parodi and modern Savate Boxe Française in my mid-30s. And I have won a source just by boxing and using lower kicks and stop kicks. Probably no points for gracefulness. At the moment we are training according to Joseph Charlemont's magnum opus because, you know, I'm old and I want to do it for the fitness, posture and health aspect, rather than to defend myself with high kicks. I want to try to get my body and movement into those elegant postures and motions, and of course we will show you more, because many of you ask me about doing some more Savate. But to get me presentable it will take some time. So, may I ask you if you are interested in some of the other DDLR styles? We could present them to you in the meantime. Do you prefer a master or a method, boxing, dirty tricks, cane, knife or whatever you like? Let me know in the comments. Have a look around for more old fighting arts on our channel. You can watch the forgotten game plan of Savate here if you want to bridge the gap in the meantime. And see you in the next video.